In Queen Cleopatra, Netflix have done the equivalent of swapping out the pyramids of Egypt for cubes.
I'm so confused. What's going on?
Because all you've ever seen or read was false. And why? Well, let's ask Jada Pinkett Smith, the producer.
I just wanted to feel good.
A lady who has shown as much loyalty to historical facts as she did to her wife, Will Smith.
No! No! No!
And context is key on this one. Queen Cleopatra is the second in a series of African queen shows paying homage to strong African women. The description calls it a docudrama. That's about as accurate as me calling my penis the Eiffel Tower.
My ding-a-ling! My ding-a-ling!
For historical accuracy, it should actually be called Mini-Me. But I gave 4 hours of my life so you don't have to waste yours, and this show is a cross between the talking head shots of apparent experts and repetitive shots of posing actors cosplaying with Egyptian clothes. So what has made this show dubbed the worst show of all time? There's a lot to unpack here. We have 4 sections to go through. The first is a little thing called race swapping.
Saddle up, partner.
So was Queen Cleopatra really black? Let's have a look at what one of the highly esteemed historian scholars says.
My grandmother was the inspiration. Oh, we're learning about the Greeks and we're learning about the Romans, and today we learned about Cleopatra. And I remember, clear as day, her saying to me, "Shali, I don't care what they tell you in school, Cleopatra was black."
Man, I'm gonna break my monitor, I swear!
Yes, when it comes to debatable historical claims, we'll just default to what someone's geriatric grandmother says.
You're embarrassing yourself, you geriatric fuck!
No textbooks, no ancient scrolls, not even a shitty cave painting. My drunken granddad always claimed it was aliens who helped build the pyramids. Once again, ladies and G, this is a fact, so you xenophobes better not question it. The pyramids, or the cubes to be more precise, were actually created by illegal aliens. And it looks like the History Channel guy was right after all. Shame on us for laughing at him. So back to Cleopatra, she probably didn't have Greek Macedonian roots. You know, well-established historical data or even coins and sculptures that highlighted her look. So yeah, I guess on this one we'll just default to what someone's grandmother says.
Little lady! Little lady!
My grandmother, for example, told me that if I ever touched myself in my private place, I'd go blind. Joke's on her, she's 85 and last year she developed cataracts. Glad to see grandma still getting jiggy with it. Moving on swiftly to number 2. For the die-hard hoplites of this channel, you'll know that we've talked about some Mary Sues on here, from Blandriel, the blank stare, to She-Hulk, the whiny, to Velma, the vile. But hold your Bud Lights, Cleopatra takes the biscuit on this one. This documentary has you believing that she's a sword-wielding sass queen who no man can ever come close to besting. She can dance, she can fight, she can seduce, she can even do mega mic drops on old white dudes.
Is this the respect Rome affords its women? Cicero, even if I was, one wonders if you could even find your tool.
Take that, you flaccid old git. Right from the start, this documentary tells you who they're gonna try and kick in the nuts.
As warriors, queens, mothers of nations, they bowed to no man. Cleopatra walked through the sandstorm of history and left footprints so deep that no man could ever erase them. Women must face dangers no man ever will.
And of course, how difficult it is being a woman. Yeah, love, forget about the tens of thousands of men dying in battle on a kind of semi-regular basis in this era or many other eras, because that's just men fighting silly old men. You probably deserved it. But no, women shitting out a baby, dear God.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh my god! Is everything fine?
Actually, to be fair, childbirth is traumatic for anyone that's ever witnessed it. If you haven't, it's the equivalent of your loved one shitting out a watermelon. There's lots of watermelon juice everywhere and lots of little black seeds. For reference, the watermelon seeds are actually poop. And yes, there's tons of poop involved, and if you ever do a water birth, well, the only thing I can say is bring a fishing net, because you'll be plucking poop nuggets all day. So I digress there, but anyway, let's call this one a truce, because childbirth is freaking brutal, and maternal mortality in those days was shocking. But what I hate about shows like this is they can't just draw your attention to one fact, like how dangerous childbirth is, without berating all men for having bloody chill sesh lives, while these hero women go out all day pooping out babies before coming home and putting placenta on the table for their good-for-nothing house husbands. Also, has Jada ever been kicked in her testicles? Now that's pain.
We got to, but before we do, we're gonna kick him in the nuts.
Let's get real for a second here. One thing I absolutely despise about these modern woke pieces of crap shows is the absolute audacity. The audacity and pure contempt for the viewers, both male and female viewers. If you're a male viewer here, watch this and be apologetic for the terrible deeds your gender did. And if you're female, here is a one-dimensional character who has no faults, is right every time, is the best with no effort and no reason, makes no errors, accepts no faults, who we have airbrushed every character trait and nuance out of. In fact, we have so little respect for you, we assume you're probably not even intelligent enough to notice any of this. So we'll keep feeding you the same garbage, and all of this for what? So that you feel empowered. Wow, you go girl.
Can I get a hallelujah high five? Fine.
Okay, so the production quality is piss poor. This is from a multi-billion-dollar company, not your mate Dave and his stepsister Kathy, who have taken a quick filming gig to pay for their smack addiction. It feels like the reenactment scenes are like you're in the middle of a fever dream and you're flicking through the local TV channel at 3 a.m. and it's just an amalgamation of poorly acted scenes, softcore porno, people in robes, intense close-ups, and then the same scenes play over and over again. Take, for example, the main villain of the show, Octavian. I won't even go into the character assassination they handed to him, but up until the last part of the final episode, any time there was any talk about him, you would get these recycled shots of him looking at the camera. Just literally the same shot, not even different angles. Honestly, I've put more effort into taking a piss at 3 a.m. after a night out. And my god, the music. What is it with these modern reimagined pieces needing this trashy generic reality show music like Love is Blind Cleopatra style? Like, I get it, you want your piece to look fresh, and by throwing in music that is jarring and phrases like,
essentially he ghosts her,
really takes the documentary part out of it. But that's cool because young hip people are going to watch your show. You can tell some jaded exec came up with this in a boardroom. And so this brings me on to my last and most important point. Here is an opportunity to really do a character study on a fascinating historical figure. You don't even need to try and make facts up. She's intriguing enough as it is. She's the last pharaoh of Egypt, who was treated as a living god. Imagine the psychology of that on a person, the narcissism of that, and you had to fight off your siblings who would try and kill you. Having a hand in the death of 3 of your siblings, who was a product of generations of incest, I'm too lazy to insert an Alabama joke here, who could speak close to 10 languages, highly educated in the arts, mathematics, philosophy, astronomy, who forged relationships and had children with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, who undoubtedly used her charm and sexual appeal to manipulate and exert influence on Rome, who also preserved Egypt's independence, and eventually all of this comes crumbling down like a house of cards, defeated in a war, betrayals, and then she commits suicide with her back against the wall. That in itself would be a fascinating deep dive into the psychology of a ruler. If anything, it's also a cautionary tale, but instead this girl boss drops one-line mic drops, sassy queen sword fights, with comical caricature depictions of sidekicks like Julius Caesar, Mark Antony, and even Octavian, all to elevate Cleopatra to queen of mere kings.
Queen of Kings!
I resisted Cleopatra for a really long time. In my scholarly life. I said, I am not going to study you. I'm not going to study you. She will live on until there's no one else to tell her story.
And if her story is told by every generation's aging grandparent, like some weird Alzheimer's Chinese whispers, then I fear for the history that we take forward. Not the history that happens, but the history that people will interpret and treat as fact years from now, with no obvious need for backing up claims or showing evidence.
Hey, I guess they're right. Senior citizens, although slow and dangerous behind the wheel, can still serve a purpose.
I'll be right back. Don't you go dying on me!
Because in this day and age, if you feel your cause is important enough, you can just twist history and no one can question it. And God forbid if someone did try to question it, because if they did, they must be bloody racists. Because only racists would ever question such noble causes. And so it's better to remember the cubes those Egyptians created. And over time, due to wind erosion and the wrath of the god Anubis, they formed into the pyramids that we know now. At least that's what my grandpa told me. So I'm in total awe that we got Cleopatra, Velma, She-Hulk, Rings of Power, all within a few months of each other. And if you would like a similar breakdown of those shows, then click here, because
I'm gonna open a can of whoop ass on Hercules.
Until the next video, peace out.